You're listening to the Seahawks Insiders, getting you ready for Seahawks football every Sunday. Presented by Delta, the official airline of the Seahawks. Now, here's your host, Jen Mueller.
We aren't just getting you ready for Seahawks football. We are getting you ready for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. And John Boyle, while I am not so much of a cigar smoker, I am becoming accustomed to the smell of cigars.
Yeah, agreed. I don't smoke cigars much ever anymore, but it's kind of fun.
Anymore?
You know, I used to occasionally have one with the guys if you're, on the golf course or that was before I was kids.
I picture you in a smoking jacket and like a hat.
I'm talking like on the golf course with buddies on the weekend.
It was a different version.
It was
of the
never
story
a frequent thing. I'll say that, but yes, it's the smell when you associate it with huge victories is kind of nice. Although the suit did have to go to the dry cleaners.
I was gonna say yes. There was all of those clothes had to be taken care of in the wash. How long did you stay at Lumen Field writing stories after that win?
At 1 a.m. Because that post-game celebration is really fun, but it pushes everything back. Before we would normally, there's a cadence of players debrief in the locker room, celebrate a little, then the press conferences start. That all got pushed back by a long ways for good reason, so they could celebrate on the field, do the trophy presentation. But yeah, it's a long night, but it was a good time.
It was
happy to do it.
Yes, it was very fun. And look, now the team is heading to Santa Clara on Sunday. We are going to get heavy into game prep and matchups next week. This week, it is just for storytelling, for reliving some of those moments, for kind of comparing notes on what you saw, what I saw. I'm going to go to pregame, John, as we kind of kick this whole thing off. There was a couple of things that stood out. Number one, the number of former players who were in the building, right? And it was Mike and it was Cliff. And it's Doug and it's Sherm, but it's also Malcolm Smith who flew into town. It's Bruce Irvin. It's Ken Hamlin. Matt Hasselbeck. John Ryan was there. Like, it was an impressive amount of legends on the field.
And how about the legends joining Jody Allen for the 12th?
Yes.
Like, that was so cool. Seeing all those guys up there getting hyped up with her. That was a fun scene.
So 12s, if you haven't seen it, Jody Allen raised the 12 flag, and they had Matt Hasselbeck, Michael Bennett, and Cliff Averill on that, I don't know, what do you call that? Stage? Podium?
Sure.
I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Platform
Toyota
is the word.
deck.
The
Thank you,
Toyota
NASA.
fan deck, our producer NASA says, please get it right, is what he was actually signaling to me right there. That was one of the loudest 12 flag celebrations I have heard all year long. It was very cool.
It was great. And it just set the tone for a really fun day of just great fans, exciting game. Exactly what we knew a Rams-Seahawks round 3 was going to be. There was no chance that game was not going to be exciting, nerve-wracking, down to the wire. It had to be that way, and it was.
I was talking to Rich Gonzalez, one of our PR folks before the game, and we were trying to figure out, what does this game hinge on? Like, who's your unsung hero? Mm-hmm. And my two unsung heroes were Rashid Shaheed and Dareke Young. Now, I was picking something on special teams, and it was like, well, of course they're not going to kick to Rashid. I get that. That was a really big play on the first offensive series, though. But Dareke Young recovering the fumble after missing that opportunity, I have to say I kind of nailed it. Did you have your playmakers in mind before that game started?
I don't know if I would have gone those two, but I did mention, I've said this 2 weeks in a row, I just feel like postseason is a good time for Cooper Kupp to start emerging as more. He was great for the team all year, but the ball wasn't finding him a ton. I said it before the 49ers game, too, when he led the team in receiving. The other one I said before the game, we were kind of in the press box talking, and I was like, man, it's time for Sam Darnold to San Francisco game, he didn't need to be great because they just dominated that game, but he did his job. He was efficient, didn't turn the ball over. I was like, how great would it be for Sam Darnold to just have his, I'm going to go off game? And sure enough, it was. He's not an X factor. He's the quarterback. You know the game's going to hinge on him, but this was not a game where Sam Darnold could be, solid. They needed a great performance because the Rams, as we've talked about, are the one team that can figure out how to score on this Seahawks defense. So you needed greatness out of the offense, and Sam Darnold, he gave it to you.
The point differential that you shared before we hit record on this podcast.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So that's, I forget who, someone tweeted this. This is not my original thought, but I wish I could give credit, but I can't find who did it. Seahawks are on a 9-game winning streak going to the Super Bowl. they gave up 64 points in 2 games to the Rams along that way. Won them both, but 64 points. The other 7 opponents combined scored 68. So that's, just under 10 points a game for everyone not named the Rams. And then the Rams score 30 a game on you. So, Mike Macdonald and everyone on that defense would say they got to be better, and they can't do that.
And they
the Rams.
did say that.
Yeah.
They said that.
Man, you also got to tip your hat a little bit to that combination of McVay and Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford. Just when those 3 are cooking, it's tough for anybody to stop.
What did Cooper Kupp say this week? That it's disheartening? Was that the word he used? Watch Matthew Stafford because you just know what is possible for him?
It's got to even on a different level for him, too, because it's a good friend of his. So it's at one point, you're like, man, I played with this guy. I love watching him do his job at this high level. I was like, but he's killing our team right now. We got to, it's... disheartening is a good word. Yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny the way that he characterized it. I also thought the hat tip to Ernest Jones was really apropos and just kind of brought this all full circle. Mm-hmm. The plays that Cooper Kupp made down the stretch that helped to seal it were really incredible, and it wouldn't have happened without a text to Ernest Jones.
Yeah, actually, EJ texted me last night. He sent me the message that he had sent me originally when I'd reached out to him, and in his reply back to it, I was just asking about what it was like, what the team was like, and he said we are on the cusp of competing for a Super Bowl. Like we're right there. And he sent that to me, and he's like, I told you, we're right there. That's what we're all striving for.
Yeah, I mean that's Cooper Kupp's a guy when he becomes a free agent is going to have some options, and he knows people around the league to do his research. So reaches out to guys. I'm sure that there's guys on other teams you reach out to that we didn't know about, but Ernest Jones tells him what a lot of guys felt. I mean, it's funny, we talk about the perceptions team and, external expectations and people picking Seahawks pick 3rd or 4th in the division and whatever else. But you talk to guys on this team coming out of last season or coming into this season in the spring, like they believed that they were on the cusp of something, especially with what they did defensively to finish the season. So that was the honest answer from Ernest Jones. Was like, hey, we're on the cusp. Come join this. And similar to what DeMarcus Lawrence said, and some people kind of scoffed at that, it was like he came here because he wanted to win a Super Bowl, and here they are, 2 free agents who have been massive additions to this team that came in and got what they were looking for.
Well, and if they would have listened to the odds makers at the beginning of the year, they would have picked an entirely different team because we do have the most unlikely Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, both teams.
Shows you what the odds makers
That's why we don't gamble, Jen.
That's why we do not at all, period. We don't do that. We also don't listen to experts. We listen to insiders. That's what we listen to on that one. Okay, look, we knew that game was going to come down to the wire. I loved how Cooper had said and admitted, like in his heart of hearts, he knew that game was going to be in his hands at the end. I like that little admission 24 hours later. He was like, boy, that I kind of had a feeling that was coming.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all season long, like the guy doesn't get the ball a ton because this is not a high-volume passing attack, and Jackson Smith and Jigba had a season for the ages. But, like, the percentage of his catches that went for first downs, I looked up, I think, at least in the regular season, his first down percentage on catches was about the same as in his historic 2021 season, just obviously way less volume. So he's coming up with big catches when they call upon him. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think you've ever seen a 4-catch game that was more significant than what he did. And that takes out all the other stuff he does, the blocking, all the other important parts of the game. But 3 of those 4 catches were just huge.
Yes.
2 third-down conversions, a touchdown. I mean, and I think the touchdown might have been on third down as well. But, yeah, I mean, just an incredible performance from him and a guy that just Super Bowl MVP because he scored a touchdown to win that game. I mean, he's a clutch guy.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been that way had the defense not stepped up in big moments. You know, we saw Matthew Stafford kind of pick on the corners a little bit. We saw Spoon have a game that was uncharacteristic for the first part of the game. And then when it mattered most on 3rd and 4th down in the 4th quarter, Spoon gets in there to break that up. And we can look at all sorts of different alignments and reasons and what was happening. But when Mike Macdonald looks at it, what he sees is kind of, quite honestly, the theme that has emerged for the entire year.
Yeah, I think it's just that's the byproduct of the inputs you put in. You know, you face some adversity early in the game, but you just stick to it, and you trust that if you just keep stacking plays over and over again, you know, you give yourself a chance. So, the plays by Spoon in the red zone were just some of the best plays in our team history, probably. I mean, it's just including the circumstances. So it's awesome.
Yeah, we talked to Spoon in the locker room well after, there weren't a lot of guys left, and he finally had showered and was sitting there, and he was pretty honest. He said, I gave up a couple plays earlier in the game, but you can't let those plays beat you more than once. And that's we hear it all the time with corners, but such a huge part of that mentality. You can't get down when you get beat, because especially against a team like this, you're going to give something up. But back-to-back third, and neither of those were easy plays. One, he's got to cover for a while. Two, he's got to come back to that ball, or if he's a step later, the guy's going to catch that. And as an aside, I think my favorite part of all that series is just the competitive guy he is. He makes a play of his life to break up a fourth down pass, potential game-winning play, and he doesn't get up and celebrate. He gets up and turns around to find the official because he wants offensive pass interference because he thought he should have had a pick. That's classic Spoon. I love that.
Yeah, I talked to him on the field like right after the game as he was actually putting on his T-shirt and his hat, and he had said, look, I kind of the same sort of thing. It was like, but I knew the team was counting on me at the end of the game to get that one done. How is it that Spoon has a hat and you have a hat? I do not have a hat yet to celebrate our NFC
Pro
championship
shop.
win.
You can go buy them at the Pro Shop, order them online. I
have
think
to make time to go to the Pro Shop this week? Why don't you just bring one in for me? I thought he was a better friend than that. He is not.
We might get some more in the building later, but I had to hook up with the Pro Shop people to get one in time for this podcast. I think for like an extra $10, they'll put it in cigar smoke for a while for you to authenticate it. They put it in a little box.
Can you imagine like a little humidor, like a smoking box?
They throw it in the room for a while. It comes out. There we go. That's the good stuff. Yeah, authentic NFC Championship hat. Smells like sweat and cigar smoke.
Smells like sweat and cigars. I think that's probably a new candle scent,
I can't remember
too.
side's on. You got the logo. Is that this side?
No, it's the other side.
Yeah, you got the fun little colorful.
I do like
Super
the
Bowl
logo.
It's nice.
It's a nice logo. It's 50 years of the organization. You're going to Super Bowl 60. I love the colors.
Love it all.
This feels really good.
It does.
Yeah, it is all very kismet. I tell you what, we've got many more stories to share when we come back after this word from our presenting sponsor.
Delta Airlines is bringing more big wins to the city of Seattle. With nonstop flights to over 60 destinations worldwide, we're moving Seattle forward with 2 new routes to Rome and Barcelona starting May 2026. And with thoughtfully designed cabins, premium service, a seamless travel experience, and our new Delta One Lounge for eligible travelers, your personal off-season is looking better than ever. Visit delta.com to book your next trip.
We are getting you ready for a Seahawks Super Bowl appearance, but we're just kind of telling stories and sharing some insight from our conversations with the players before, during, and after the game. For as fun as that fourth quarter was, depending on which seat you were sitting in, right? Whether you tend to go more towards the nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing side, or you just recognize it is a great game and these quarterbacks are having a hell of a game, right? Mm-hmm. There was a moment where Julian Love, and this was after the penalty that Reek Woolen had committed, was just kind of smiling to the guys, and he said, look, we're still ahead, and it's going to be chaos for the next 15 minutes. So just, buckle up. You're fine. And I thought it was interesting, and Ray Roberts commented on this after the game, and he said sometimes when you can actually name that emotion or name that feeling or name whatever it is, it's easier. And Julian was just like, you can't expect this to be easy. Mm-hmm. And I do think there's something about the veterans who have been there, done that, and the way that they have won games all year long that made that kind of almost normal.
There's the clip that got shown on TV and kind of blew up on social media where you see a little bit of tension on the sideline, Reek, and I think it was Nicky Manwari, and then Ernest Jones being the leader he is, he gets in there, it's over. But it's like, that stuff happens. You're on the sideline, you know better than anybody, but these little things happen all the time. It's a very tense, stressful situation, but they all got through it. Next drive, come out and get the stop that they needed to win that game. So yeah, it's fun seeing the leaders do their thing. It's fun seeing the passion, honestly, of all these guys. And honestly, I like that a rookie is kind of the guy's upset about it. Some rookies just be like, hey, I'm going to chill. But Nicky Manwari, he's a special cat.
You know what the cameras weren't paying attention to?
You.
So Nick... Also true, I can do whatever I want to.
Why don't they show more Jen on the side?
That's, if the people ask for it, I don't know how that's going to work.
A Jen camera.
It looks like I'm really mad because I'm reading lips, and so I'm very focused on what's going on.
Sorry.
No, what the cameras did not watch was Nick kind of walk away, gather his thoughts, take a deep breath, come back over, dap up Reek, give him the pat on the back, and then they all went along their separate ways.
It's all fine.
Right? It is all fine. It is all good. That's one of the things that stood out to us, and I think stood out to a lot of fans watching the game. To Mike Macdonald, here's what he saw from his team.
I just think the way our guys play is just proud of our effort and how we play. You know, just really you can kind of go through each position group, each guy, and point to plays where, you know, maybe as insignificant as it seemed in that moment, how it played into the bigger picture, and that's really cool. You know, it just shows you the power of like the collective effort that the guys had. So, really proud of their effort.
It seems like a cliche thing for a coach to talk about effort. I mean, it's like, oh, it's the NFL. There should always be effort. But, like, you watch this team play. Mike brings it up pretty much every week for a reason. It's like it does jump out at you, especially this defense, the way that they fly around, the way that there's, 5-6 guys around the ball on every tackle. And then the other side of the ball, the way they're pushing the pile on a run. It's like this. You can tell these guys are so bought in. They care so darn much about it, and it just jumps out at you when you watch this team.
Well, that was part of the post-game conversation I had with Jake Bobo and Ernest Jones. And so I was asking Jake about Mike and the messaging and how he has shown up as a leader this year. And Jake said, man, I would run through a wall for Coach. Like, I love him. He is so good. And, just kind of goes on and on. And then I go and talk
what
to
did
Ernest.
Ernest say?
I talked to Ernest, and I'm like, hey, Jake said he'd run through a wall, and Ernest goes, is that all?
Yeah.
Like, if Coach told me to jump off a bridge, I'd go jump off a bridge, which I think it's funny when the competitiveness goes to how much would I back my coach, listen to my coach, how much do I love my coach. But those were just, not guys who would, what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't in sync with their message. Like, they didn't plan that message, right? It was just what truly came to mind and what was on their heart after that.
See, Ernest says that because he knows like Mike is such a prepared, well thought out coach that it'd be like he could tell you how deep the landing was, what your height, the velocity you'd reach, why it's safe. Like he'd lay out all the whys of you can jump off that bridge, you'll be fine. Yes. He would map it out for you.
Exactly.
Draw it up on the whiteboard.
Exactly. And you know what? Ernest acknowledged after the game, just like Cooper did the day after that being able to do that against their former team, it meant something, right?
Sure.
And those guys have been the ultimate professionals. I am sure that there is a lot of hurt and pain over how their tenure with the Rams ended. That is not what has driven them this year. What has driven them this year is being the best teammate to the guys that are in the locker room. And I think that says a lot when they're willing to acknowledge it and then just kind of move on. This one also means a lot for a couple of vets who have never gotten the chance to be in this position. Guys who played for teams that were not picked to be in the Super Bowl. And I think in talking to Leo and Julian, some of those guys, it was really special. And Mike Macdonald knows what it means to them too.
Well, it's great. I mean, and it's awesome, but it also means that we got work to do, And I think one of the differences about how we've ran our program this year and the last 2 years is we don't have hey, this is the Super Bowl handbook. This is how you handle all the things. It's our mentality is hey, look, we're all in this together and going into this experience, and this is how we want to, take it day by day and kind of get through all these hurdles, so to speak. And those guys will be right along there for the ride and leading the charge. So that's how we're going to handle it.
It is a really interesting dynamic on this roster of they're one of the youngest in the NFL. There's a lot of young talent from 4 straight phenomenal drafts. But then you have this core of really key veteran leaders. And other than Cooper Kupp and Ernest Jones, they're guys who played a long time without going to a Super Bowl. You've got Leo, you've got DeMarcus Lawrence, Jaron Reed, Julian Love, Sam Darnold for that matter. He's been to one as a backup, but he hasn't started a Super Bowl. So for all these guys, it's such a cool experience of they've put in all this work over the years. And, we hear Julian and Leo talk about all the time, teammates with the Giants. And before that, Leo's with the Jets. So to put in all that work for some of these guys a decade plus and now reach this point, it's fun on a human level to see them enjoy this. And as Leo talked about this in longer, when that moment of his wife comes out and finds him and they're laying on the snow doing the confetti angels, those moments are just so fun to witness. Yeah,
it was really fun to watch all of those guys. By the way, I didn't see you down there. I don't know where you were. I know everybody keeps talking about Mike Macdonald's response to the question. I had no idea what happened until after I got home. to Mike's point, you couldn't hear anything on the field outside of yelling, screaming, cheering. I knew Mike had said something really good because the fans went crazy, but on the field, you couldn't hear anything. I mean, there's guys going up and down on the stage, and they're calling for families. I totally missed it in the moment, and it was so funny to go back and listen to him because I get it. I understand why that happened.
Yeah, it was funny. So for me, I'm still in the press box finishing up we always put out a story right when the game ends. So I'm finishing that, and they start piping the sound in the press box, and I'm just getting ready to leave it, and I kind of hear it. I was like, that's a fun answer, but I didn't think much of it. Get down there, and then, an hour later, the press conference are over, and that's just blowing up on social media. And
I mean, how many times have we won?
We did not care.
We did not care. Yeah. I mean, that could describe me on a Wednesday. I don't... but I do love that. I can't wait for the merch to come out on that one.
Oh, it's already out there.
Also happening on the field, since you mentioned Jay Reed, Jaron Reed joined a very elite group of players in my book. There is only one other person who has dropped an F-bomb during a live post-game interview, also after an NFC Championship game. Jay Reed, you and Doug Baldwin will forever hold that spot.
Is that with you? On the
twice.
Radio? Live on the radio?
Twice.
Excellent.
And I say that because I was not expecting that from him. Now,
did they have the dump button ready?
They did not. Nope. We apologized and we asked for earmuffs. But here's what I think is really funny about that. Okay, so Doug and Sherm and I are standing on the sidelines before the game. And we're talking about it, and they were very openly saying, it was Doug and Sherm who started this conversation. And they said, this team is different than ours, isn't it? Like this team doesn't talk as much as we did. And they almost took a sense of pride in it. And it wasn't a better, worse, good, bad. It was just they were acknowledging, like, this team kind of just like does their own thing a little bit more than we did, right? And it's true. This team has been very workmanlike. We're going to stay together. We're going to do our things. We did not care. To hear, quite honestly, Jaron Reed with that much emotion after the game, you realize it's all right there, right under the surface.
Yeah.
Right? They care quite a bit internally for what this means for each other.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's obviously they care so much about what they're doing. It's more that they don't care about the outside perception, the thought that, you're the fourth best team in the division, all that stuff. That was Mike's point of not caring. But I mean, it is very much a different group, different vibes, all that. But it's equally special to be a part of and witness and like see the way they're playing together. It's different.
Yeah,
different people,
it's
different
totally
personalities.
Different. It is very cool.
I mean, two great teams to watch for sure.
Yes. And now their biggest test might actually be what happens when you don't get to have that same consistency for routine. Mike has been awesome with this. The players have been awesome with this all year long of just controlling what you can control. We're going to treat every week the same, right? The habits, the routines. That is not what happens when you go to the Super Bowl. It is not what happens with media availability. There's a lot of extracurriculars, as you might say. And I know Coach is going to talk about refocusing. Cooper Kupp, well, he's just going to take it and check it off the list.
It's just part of the Super Bowl stuff, but I think it's an hour and a half obligation each day or something like that. It's an hour and a half of the day. Like you take care of it, and then you get ready to play football. It's just a part of you're inserting it into part of your day. But around that stuff, you still gotta go out there and you just gotta be present, be where your feet are. When it's time to do the media thing, handle your business, protect the team, and then you're going to move into football stuff and be where your feet are in that regard. Be ready to prepare to be a really good football team and go out there and compete for a world title.
I'm not sure how I feel about being called stuff. We
I
fall
think
into
it would be delightful
we fall
to
into
talk
the
to
90
us.
minutes of stuff every day. But I mean, that's the right attitude for him. It's like, look, it's just part of the schedule. Like, it's not maybe how they do things, and they do have media obligations during the season, but it's not structured quite the same way. But yeah, I mean, so much of that is, as you said, for these teams, like you control the parts you can control. You control how you practice, how you maximize team meetings, all that, and the rest. I mean, both teams have to deal with this. It's not like one team does media and one doesn't. So it's just, I think that, and honestly, that's where a Cooper Kupp and an Ernest Jones, like those guys can really be valuable this time around. And for the coaching staff, someone like Leslie Frazier, who's played and coached in a Super Bowl, to be able to kind of lay it out for everybody, like, look, this is just how it is. We're going to get through this. Then we're going to go to practice and have a great practice and get ready for the game. And ultimately, that's not the biggest factor, but that is part of like who's going to be best prepared for Sunday, is just who cannot let this stuff be an excuse and a distraction.
Yeah. Well, and there's going to be familiarity regardless, right? I mean, it's a short trip, but you've played in Santa Clara. You play there every year. So you walk into the building, it's going to be a different vibe, 100%. But you also know that field. You know that building. You know the drive to the stadium.
Every year,
It's not like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen the stadium in 6 years. Nope, you were just there a few weeks ago. That's kind of what it's going to end up to be. Okay, normally we would ask for 2 things that you need to see for a Seahawks win. We're going to save that for next week. We're going to ask a different question when we come back after a word from our presenting sponsor.
Take your own off-season with Delta Airlines and explore new routes from Seattle to Rome and Barcelona starting May 2026. Plus, with nonstop flights to over 60 destinations worldwide, Delta is moving Seattle forward one adventure at a time.
Okay, last couple of minutes here of the Seahawks Insiders podcast. John, I'm totally going to go opposite direction of what we normally do. Next week, we will talk about keys to a Seahawks win. Today, how about 2 things that would make the week and the days leading up to the Super Bowl fun for you to cover, fun for you to talk about, fun to experience, because it is an experience to be there.
Shoot, putting me on the spot here. I mean, to me, it's like all about just much like retired players, kind of rolling with it and enjoying the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
It's different. You're not going to get, from a media standpoint, you don't always get everything you're looking for out of it, but like just appreciating the moment, enjoying, like, by the weekend, we're going to have coworkers there. My wife will be there. So kind of enjoying it with friends and with family, and then doing a lot of work as well.
I know.
A lot of work, long days.
I think you have the harder job after a game than I do. It takes me, 45 minutes and then I can be done. I would agree with you. It is just kind of rolling with it. I am really interested to see national media reaction to our players when they actually get a chance to talk to them. And I don't mean the crazy media session that takes place on Monday. I mean when they come in. Yes, that is its own entity, and I can't wait to see what happens there too. I'm really interested to see what stories they're picking up on, what questions they're asking, if they're approaching it with like this air of, I don't believe that you're that good, or if they've seen enough in the last couple of weeks to think, okay, I missed the boat on this one earlier in the year.
I don't know how you can look at what the Seahawks have done the last 9 weeks and the gauntlet they've run.
But you're talking about East Coast media that's coming from Boston that covers the Patriots, and I don't know, but that to me, how those narratives play out will be really interesting. Getting into San Francisco to Radio Row and just kind of seeing how many Seahawks fans are around are going to be really fun too.
You just made a great point. Like, Seahawks fans took over New York. What are they going to do when it's a 2-hour flight away?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be nuts.
I'm
changing my answer. That's what I'm
going to find a little hole in the wall. I'm going to post up. I'm going to have a beverage. I'm just going to watch the fans. I'm not telling you where I'm going. It's a hole in the wall. Okay, here's what I can promise you. We're going to be back next week. John and I will be on location in Santa Clara. We will have experienced some of the craziness. We will break down those stories and get into that matchup on the next episode of the Seahawks Insiders Podcast.